Hello everyone and welcome back to a new project for my Graphic 45 brand ambassador year. I've been challenged with the hashtag for G45, which is hashtag mixed media. Now those who know me will know I am no mixed media expert. I shy away from mixed media. So when I got given this, I did panic. But I'm going to do a bit of mixed media, but in a Paul way. So I'm planning on doing a tutorial on how to make a book using the large tags as your signature pages. So this is one made with Life's a Bowl of Cherries. So I thought, whilst I'm going to be making this, why not make the cover mixed media? Now, I'm not going to be one of these ones who can make these amazing projects like some of the other design team. So it's going to be quite a clean and simple method. But the main technique I'm going to be showing you will be how to make some enamel looking embellishments from your die cuts. And the great thing about this enamel technique is I'll be using distress oxide, so whichever oxide you use will determine the colour of your enamel, so you can make it in a multitude of colours. So, mixed media, I've got some paper, I've got some cardstock, I've got metal embellishment, I'm going to be using some distress oxide spray, some distress oxide, and I'm using PS I Love You. So I've gone for the peeled paint, which sort of pulls out some of the greens in the collection. I've also got some clear embossing powder and some glossy accents. I'm be using some distress ink. So we've got oxide and the distress, and also some stickers. So I haven't got paint and stuff. I'm not going to be doing the messy stuff, but I have managed to mix quite a few different media here. Okay, so let's move the stickers out the way. And the cover for this tag album is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. Now this video is all about how I'm going to decorate the cover. So I haven't shown you how to do this, but if you go to my channel, if you search Paul Ford and go to my YouTube channel, you'll find lots of videos where I show you how I make my cover using the tape. But if you prefer to use it with paper covering, that's up to you. So I've got a 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I've just created a layer, just slightly smaller. So I've gone down 1/8 this time rather than 1/4. So it's just going to be a thin showing. And then this one goes down to 6 by 4. So you can see the green just shows a tiny bit. So let's move these out the way. The spine is 1 3/4. So obviously this is 6 1/4 and 4 1/4 again. So I'm going to put my cover aside for now. And we're going to get going with our PS I Love You papers. So I've gone for this sheet for my cover. And I'm going to bring my glass mat. Let's get rid of some of the tape, just so I can wipe clean later on. I'm just going to put some kitchen towel down, because I am going to be spraying. So the first thing I'm going to do is tie in my plainer paper with the green. So I'm using my distress spray, and let's just do a little test spray there. So I'm just going to lightly spray some, and then just a couple of extra spots. So what that's doing now is just tying in that paper to the rest of the project. So there we go. And I'm going to take the oxide then, and I'm just going to go around the edge, giving it a bit of a definition. Now this is quite a new pad, so it's quite juicy. So I'm getting a little bit more than I want on it, but it'll be fine. And I'm going to do the same on the green. Now you probably can't see it on the camera, but it is covering this dark green. So again, 2 shades of green. So it's tying in, this green matches that paper well. And it's just sort of an olive green cardstock I had in my stash, along with the oxide. And if I get this just a little bit wetter, what you can do, the great thing about Distress Oxide is, it stays wet, so you can add some embossing powder to it. So I'm just going for clear here. So just going to add a bit of shine to the edge. Just add a bit more. So I'm not covering everywhere. I'm just sort of highlighting some areas. Empty that back in. Just move that out of the way while I get my heat gun. So I'm just adding a little bit of shine to the edges. And these Graphic 45 papers are pretty good. They can take quite a lot of manipulating and stuff added to them. So that now has become my background paper, and I've got a second one as well for the back. So I don't know, I might use that one for the front, this one for the back. I haven't decided yet. So that's all I'm going to do now is glue this, and then the glue and the oxide will have time to dry together whilst I do the next elements. Let's just line it up. There we go. So now we have our 2 air covers made. So let's start moving on to the decoration, and one of the main things I was going to do, which is this enamel technique. Now these die cuts have come from the large tag die set from Graphic 45, and this one came from the folio folder die, again from Graphic 45. So I've cut them out. This one I've cut out from white cardstock. This one I've cut out from my olive green cardstock. So if we have a look at them, they do have a slight different shade. So if you want it lighter, use your white. If you want it a bit darker, use your green. So by using this technique, I'm able to tie my enamel looking embellishments in with my papers. So this is how I did them. So these again have been cut from my G45 dies. I've got love, together, and some more of the leaves. And what I'm going to do is get my clear embossing powder ready. I'm going to cover my die cut. And as I said, with the oxide, it stays wet. Actually, I'm going to put some gloves on because I think this might get a bit messy. Normally I wouldn't mind, but I don't want to be rushing off to clean my hands halfway through. Otherwise I'm going to get ink all over the rest of the project. Right. So we have the E as well. Covered the love in that oxide. So it's very wet. And now it's clear. And I will want some more leaves. So let's cover the leaf. And again, clear embossing powder over the top. Just shake it off. And I've got the love in here somewhere as well. I've never tried it with gloves before. It's actually a lot fiddlier. Right. We need to put that back in. I'm just going to grab a pokey tool just so I can keep my hand away. And what's happening now is the oxide and the clear embossing are sort of melting into each other. And it's given us a sort of enamel look. But I'm not quite done yet. What I'm going to do is repeat the process. And we're going to get a thicker layer of embossing powder. Back in. There's a little hole in the leaf here. There we are. There's 2 layers, and I usually do 3 layers. Bring it in. Okay, let's bring it back in. Here we are. And there we have our leaves enameled. I think we'll have the love because that ties in nicely. So these sentiments came from the Folio album. It's alright. Bit of white still there. There we go. Just to make sure we got all this. just do one more. And there we have it. We have some really nice looking enameled embellishments which have come from our die cuts. And because we've used the same ink, they're going to tie in really nicely with our project. And as I said, the great thing about these is, depending on what colour distress oxides you've got, which I know you've probably got many of them, you can create whatever coloured enamel you want. And also, you don't need to be buying lots and lots of different embossing powders either. Now normally I would spritz this with water and then a dab up and make some backing papers. But today I'm just going to give it a quick tidy. Ready for the next part. So we've used spray, we've used oxide, we've used paper, we've used card. So now we're going to use our dies again. Try and get some of the oxide off my hands. I think this was on before I put the gloves on. Oh, you can really see the two different shades just by changing the colours of what paper we used. So you've got two different shades of green now. Okay. So the next step, we're going to use some of the dies from the large tag. And in the middle of the large tag and the A to C tags, we've got some flowers. So I'm going to try and find... I haven't got one of those expensive flower making kits or anything. What I use is whatever I've got to hand. So for this one, I've got my small ball tool, which was part of the pen. I've got some big round metal ball. I think these are used for cake decorations. And I've got the Cool Cat's Teflon pencil, which is great because you've got the big thick end and the thinner end to go into the detail bits. I used the small die to make these ones, but that would be a bit fiddly to show you on camera. So I'll show you how you would do it, but with the bigger die cuts. So whichever is your smallest die, you cut 2 of them. Then look for the next flower up and you cut 1. And then look for the next one up again and cut 2. So for this one, I had 2 of the tiny ones, 1 of these medium ones, and 2 of these ones. As I said, that would be really, really difficult for you to see on camera. Oh, so I've actually bought the dies ready. So it was this one. So as you can see, really small, and you wouldn't actually see what I'm doing. So I use this, this, and this for these ones. But for the demo, I've gone up 1 size and used these 3. You can go up 1 more size and another size. So you can make some nice big flowers. And here's the folio die where I got that heart and the love and together sentiments as well. So let's have a go at some flower making. So I'm going to start off by making the bud in the centre. So to make the bud, I'll want this on the outside. So I'm flipping it over and I'm just using a very thick end and brushing towards the centre of my flower. Now I chose the light one to match in with my project, but I didn't realise the back is black against a black mat. But what you can see is I've done, if I'm going to do it on this one, start off and just draw in. Start off on the edge and just draw in. And it'll start to come into like a bowl shape. Then, let me move this out of the way because it is black. What I'm going to do now is I've got 5 petals. I'm looking at 2 next to each other and 1 opposite. Now that curling means that we can sort of roll this together and stick it to that one. And I'm going to bring the opposite one up, and you're going to sort of tease them into a bud shape. Now normally I would hold this now until it's dried. But I'm going to move on to the next step. I'm going to add some glue just to the base of these 2 petals. And we're just going to bring them up. So we're not going to close it on it. We're just sort of going to wrap it around so it sort of gives us an extra layer. You can see there's a gap. It's a bit too much of a V shape, so let's just curve them a bit more. And that's how you make your bud. And of course, you could just use that as a bud shape in your floral arrangement. I'm going to put that aside just to dry. So normally I would be holding that until it's dried a bit more. And then this one seems to have the petals coming out, and the other one sort of has them coming scooped up. That all depends on which way up you put your paper. So I'm going to, again, brush to the middle, this time with my white up. Then I can flip it over. I'm just going to rub around the centre. So that's going to give me a nice flat bit to stick my bud onto. You can use your thin bit just to add some extra dimension. Basically, that's all you're doing is breaking all the fibres in your paper so that it's creating some shape. So it depends how much you want to put it together. Now, let's pretend this is dried. I'm going to drop this in. Then I'm going to take a bit of glue each way. I'm just going to bring it up. So I'm sticking those petals onto the bud, like so. And then it gets very boring, so that's all I'm going to do is hold it there, usually then a bit longer than I'm going to today, just to dry. Put it to the side for now. And then I'm going to just repeat with that medium one. So whichever size you had in your medium one, just around the outside. And we're just using the finer tip just to add some dimension. Now you could add some extra distress oxide now, but with the others, I actually did it at the end, and you'll see why later on. So I'm going to bring this one up, and my petals are in line, so I'm just going to line the petals in between the other petals this time. And then the final ones, these nice big ones. I want them to curl this way, so I'm just rubbing sort of round circles in the middle. And let's get, now this one is going to be the bottom one. So I'm going to try and stay away from doing anything to this middle portion here, because I want my flower to be able to be stuck onto my project. So by keeping the center flat, it's going to make it easier. So it's just breaking up all those fibers. I'm going to stick this one at a bit of the angle. More glue in the middle. Now I do usually do these in batches and allow more time in between the layers to dry. Obviously with a video, I don't want to be doing that. Otherwise you'd just be stood here watching the same thing, literally watching glue dry. And then, as I said, I'm going to ink some of these edges. And just for some fun, we're going to take some water and split it. Because the oxide reacts, it's going to pale down, but also dribble into those petals as well. So there we have your flower. Now I would try and tease it up a bit more and things whilst it's drying, so that you get more sort of this shape. And as the water dries well, it sort of stiffens it out as well. And then you can sort of just manipulate it once the glue is dry and get it into the shape you want. So that is how I made the flowers for my mixed media cover. So now it's time to start to assemble it. So you can see it all come together now. So as I open it up, this is going to be my back piece. There we go. And then for the middle, I've taken one of the border strips and cut it down. This is a die cut from the homeware section in Cool Cats. So I've cut it out of black cardstock twice, glued them together, and done the same as I did with the enameling, but with black soot distress ink, distress oxide. So that's given that a bit of an enamel, and it fitted perfectly on this sticker. So you can see where the sticker came from. And I've just stuck it onto the sticker, and I've got a nice little spine. So same technique as this, but with black soot oxide. Out of the 12 by 12 kit as well, I've got one of the image cards, and I've got some of the green cardstock. Which I'm going to Now I have got some foam pads, so let's maybe give it a bit of 3D and dimension. I don't want it to sag in the middle, so I'm going to make sure I got enough for this tape. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually line this towards the left, because I could put it in the middle, but I'm going to have some flowers off to the left. So I'm going to sort of line up these 3 edges evenly. There we go. And let's put it on the cover before we add too many 3D embellishments. Let's do the spine while we're here. So you see, once you've done all your elements, it sort of comes together quite quickly. And the back. So we've got our cover all decorated. Let's add some enamel. So I'm just tapping little bits of glue. And this is a dries clear glue. There we go. And time for some flowers. Oh, how are we gonna put these? Let's have that one. So that's gonna go there. And because we left these flat, it's easier to attach. And then I'm gonna put some foam behind this third one, just so it comes up a little bit higher than the other two. Actually, I'm going to take it up even higher. Take that glue off. Let's put another foam pad on. Let's put the glue back. So we've got a nice little cluster of the flowers there. And let's tuck in some leaves. So that's a bit long. So what I can do now is just trim off. So I'm just adding glue to the bottom part, because then it can be free and stick up and things like so there. So we've done that. Shall we add this? Yeah, let's add some metal. Make sure the brad leg isn't showing. Oh, I didn't like that, because it had the black coming down. So let's move it over, so I've just got the white in the keyhole. So I could have put the love there, but I think I'm going to put it over there, or maybe I won't even use it at all. Who knows? I have got this, so I'm going to add that down the corner there. And then the final bit of media, oh, I had inked with the oxide around my top as well, just before I glued it down. So let's just add some glossy accents to these white flowers underneath. Let's even do it on these big ones. So one thing you do need to make sure, I've inked this well in advance, which means it's not going to bleed with the oxide. Glossy accents and oxide ink would have reacted and you would have had like a muddy glaze. So there we go. Once that's dry, we'll have a little bit more shine. I think I'm going to have to glue this down a little bit. There we go. Perfect. And there we have it. My take on a mixed media cover for an album. So I hope you enjoyed it. Something quite different for me. Definitely out of my comfort zone. Definitely something I haven't shared with you before, but I'm quite pleased with it. So thank you, Graphic 45, for making me try something a bit different and creating something that I wouldn't have done otherwise. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now this is just part one. This is doing the hashtag mixed media challenge. But there will be another video coming up where I'm going to show you how to add some pages made from the large tags by Graphic 45. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you'll come back soon to see me fill this album. So thank you for watching and please leave some comments and hit that like button. It really does mean a lot. So thanks for watching and I'll see you all again soon.